Introduction. When was the last time you truly paused to ask yourself what matters most to you? Not what society expects, not what your friends are doing, and definitely not what everyone around you is pushing for. What truly matters to you? In a world that thrives on distractions, we often confuse busyness with purpose, assuming that being constantly on the go means we're moving towards something meaningful. But deep down, are you fulfilled, or are you simply exhausted? Imagine waking up one day, looking back and realizing that all the stress, the anxiety and the pressure you've been carrying have been for things that never truly mattered. Maybe it was the job you took to impress others, the relationships you maintained out of obligation, or the fear of failure that kept you stuck in the same place for years. What if all this time you've been sacrificing the life you want for a life that just looks good on the outside? Today, you have a choice. You can either live intentionally or just exist passively, letting life happen to you. The problem is, most of us let it happen without even realizing it. We stay busy, distracted, overwhelmed, and avoid the uncomfortable truth that our lives aren't aligned with what we truly value. But here's the good news. It's never too late to change. This journey is about more than just productivity. It's about purpose, the kind of purpose that comes from being true to yourself. If you've ever felt like you're living on autopilot, if you've ever felt like you're trapped by expectations, then this is the wake-up call you've been waiting for. It's time to stop wasting time and start focusing on what really matters. Section 1. The illusion of importance. Picture this. You wake up one morning and the first thing you do is check your phone. Immediately, you're hit with a rush of notifications. There are dozens of unread emails, urgent messages demanding a response, and social media alerts flashing across the screen. You feel a surge of anxiety because somewhere along the way, you've been convinced that all this noise is necessary. But is it? We live in a world where we're led to believe that being busy means being important. The more tasks we check off, the more productive we feel. But here's the truth. Busyness doesn't equate to importance. More often than not, it's simply a distraction from what truly matters. We've been taught that responding to every email, addressing every message, and keeping up with every social trend is essential. But think about it for a moment. How many of those tasks truly add value to your life? How many of those urgent notifications actually move you closer to your goals? The reality is, most of what we spend our time on is just noise, filler that takes up space in our minds and drains our energy without serving any real purpose. Take a step back and reflect. When was the last time you sat down without distractions and thought about what actually matters to you? How often do we mistake a packed schedule for a meaningful life? We're constantly reacting to outside demands rather than focusing on the things that align with our true values. This constant cycle of chasing the next task, the next notification, only leaves us exhausted and unfulfilled. Here's the problem with the illusion of importance. If everything is important, then nothing truly is. If you're spending your days reacting to every little thing, how much time do you actually have left for the things that make life worth living? Chasing after the illusion of importance keeps you trapped in a cycle of endless activity with no real progress. What if you stopped measuring your worth by how much you do, and instead measured it by what you actually accomplish, the things that truly matter? This isn't about doing less, it's about doing what matters more. It's about identifying what's worth your time and energy and letting go of everything else. The first step in focusing on what truly matters is to stop chasing the illusion of importance and to start prioritizing what aligns with your goals, values, and well-being. It's time to break free from the noise and focus on what really deserves your attention. The question is, are you ready to start? Section 2. The power of elimination. Imagine for a moment that you are carrying a massive backpack. Each rock in that backpack represents an obligation in your life. Some are heavy, like family responsibilities or your career, while others are small, like unnecessary meetings, social obligations, or tasks that are self-imposed. The problem is, you rarely take the time to empty that backpack. Instead, you carry it around, believing every single rock is vital. But what if you realize that not everything in that backpack deserves your attention? The first step toward focusing on what truly matters is understanding the power of elimination. This isn't just about removing the negative, it's about making space for the positive, the things that truly contribute to your growth, happiness, and peace. It's about saying no to tasks, people, and habits that drain you, so you can create room for what really serves your purpose. How often do we find ourselves overwhelmed by the sheer number of tasks on our to-do list? The more we try to juggle, the more distracted and tired we become. But if we look closely at those tasks, we realize that many of them have little to no impact on our lives. They are the rocks we carry for no reason. In fact, when you take a step back and examine your commitments, you'll find that a lot of them are driven by societal expectations, fear of letting others down, or simply a habit of saying yes to everything. The act of elimination requires bravery. It's not easy to say no to people or opportunities, especially when we've been conditioned to be people pleasers. We fear disappointing others, or that by saying no we might miss out on something important. But here's the harsh truth: you're not missing out on anything if those things don't align with what truly matters to you. Every time you say yes to something that drains your energy, you're saying no to something more important: your own well-being, your dreams, and your peace of mind. Take a moment and think about this. When was the last time you decluttered your home? That feeling of lightness when you get rid of things that no longer serve a purpose is liberating, right? The same principle applies to your mental and emotional space. Decluttering your mind can have a powerful impact, but it requires the courage to let go of the things that no longer serve you. Whether it's saying goodbye to a toxic relationship, letting go of the pressure to be constantly available, or simply refusing to engage in conversations that add no value to your life, elimination is the key to creating space for the things that truly matter. Let's be clear, elimination is not about creating an empty, barren life. It's about creating a life that's full of purpose, focus, and intentionality. It's about saying no to the noise so you can say yes to the things that align with your values and your true desires. By eliminating distractions, you make room for what brings you joy, what contributes to your growth, and what helps you live a life of meaning. But how do you start? The first step is awareness. Begin by noticing where you're spending your time and energy. Are you engaging in activities that align with your values and long-term goals? Or are you simply filling your days with busy work that adds no value? Once you have a clear understanding of what matters most, you can start eliminating the unnecessary. Remember, elimination doesn't mean cutting everything out of your life. It means prioritizing. It's about making conscious decisions about where to focus your time and energy so you can live a more intentional and fulfilling life. Elimination creates freedom. Freedom from the weight of unnecessary obligations, from the chaos of distractions, and from the constant pressure to do more. It's about creating a life that's in alignment with your true self, not the version of yourself that others expect you to be. When you start eliminating the distractions and the things that don't serve you, you'll be amazed at how much space you create in your life. Space for creativity, space for relationships that matter, space for personal growth, space for happiness. And the best part, the more you clear away, the more room you'll have for what really matters. The more you eliminate, the more you can focus on living a life of purpose. So ask yourself, what do I need to eliminate in my life to make room for what truly matters? What distractions or obligations have I been carrying around that no longer serve me? It's time to let go of the things that weigh you down and create space for the life you truly deserve. The power of elimination is in your hands. It's time to start living with intention, and it all begins with what you choose to leave behind. Section 3. Identifying your true priorities. Imagine for a moment standing at a crossroads in your life. You have multiple paths in front of you, each one leading to a different outcome. Some are shaped by societal expectations, others by the voices of family or friends, and a few are shaped by your own desires and dreams. Now think about this. How often do we allow others to define what's important for us? How often do we live by borrowed priorities rather than our own? It's easy to get lost in the shuffle of life's demands. We spend so much time focusing on what we should do, what others want from us, and what we think we are supposed to achieve, that we forget to ask ourselves one simple question: what do I truly want? Too often our priorities are not our own. They're the product of the expectations placed upon us by others. Society tells us what success looks like, and we follow those rules, trying to fit into molds that don't necessarily serve our own happiness or fulfillment. We choose career paths to meet someone else's idea of success, we maintain relationships out of obligation, and we live lives designed to impress others rather than to satisfy our own inner desires. But here's the truth: living for someone else's version of success will never bring you happiness. The moment you start living for other people's expectations, you begin to lose yourself in the process. Your true desires, your dreams, and your sense of purpose get pushed to the background, hidden under layers of shoulds and musts. Eventually, this leads to burnout, dissatisfaction, and a nagging feeling that something is missing. To identify your true priorities, it's essential to dig deep and be brutally honest with yourself. Ask yourself, if no one was watching, if no one could judge me, what would I truly want to do? This isn't an easy question to answer because it strips away all the external pressures. It forces you to confront your own desires, and this can be uncomfortable. We often think we know what we want, but when we dig deeper, we realize that much of what we've been chasing isn't really our dream, it's someone else's. Take a moment to think about the goals you've set for yourself. Are they truly your own, or have they been influenced by what you think you should be doing? How much of your life is spent meeting other people's expectations? How much of it is spent trying to fit into a mold that was never made for you? The fear of disappointing others is a powerful force, and it often leads us down a path we didn't choose for ourselves. But here's the liberating truth: it's okay to let go of the expectations others have for you. When you can finally admit that your life is meant for you, not for anyone else, you open the door to living authentically and with intention. The next step is to identify what truly matters to you. Think about the activities, people, and goals that make you feel most alive. What makes your heart race with excitement? What gives you a sense of peace and fulfillment? Your true priorities are not just things that look good on paper. They are the things that resonate deeply with you, the things that fill you with joy and purpose. Often, we mistakenly tie our worth to external achievements like promotions, social status, or material possessions. But when you identify your true priorities, you realize that these external markers of success don't define you. You are defined by what gives your life meaning, by the impact you have on others, and by the sense of fulfillment you feel when you're in alignment with your values. Now here's the hard part. Once you identify your true priorities, you must be willing to let go of everything else. This is where most people falter. We're afraid of letting go of the things we think we should be doing, the obligations that have been piled on us over the years. But the truth is, the more you cling to those things that don't serve you, the more you limit your capacity to focus on what really matters. Let's talk about something uncomfortable for a moment: the fear of disappointing others. This fear keeps so many of us stuck, unable to pursue what truly excites us because we're afraid of letting people down. But here's what you need to realize: you cannot be everything to everyone. Trying to live up to everyone else's expectations is not only exhausting, but it also leads to resentment, both toward others and yourself. By choosing your true priorities, you give yourself permission to let go of the weight of others' expectations. This doesn't mean you stop caring about people or that you reject the relationships that matter most. It means that you finally take control of your own life and make decisions based on what aligns with your deepest values. Your happiness does not come from pleasing others, it comes from being true to yourself. So take a moment to reflect on your life. Think about the things you've been chasing. Are they really yours to chase? Are they aligned with who you truly are? Or are you simply running on autopilot, doing what you think you should be doing? The moment you realize what matters most to you is the moment your life begins to shift. You no longer waste time on things that drain you. You no longer live in the shadow of other people's expectations. Instead, you focus on what fills your soul, what brings you joy, and what propels you toward the life you were meant to live. Identifying your true priorities is an act of self-love. It's about choosing yourself, your happiness, and your peace of mind over the chaos and distractions that others may try to impose on you. It's about living deliberately, not out of obligation. So ask yourself, what truly matters to me? And once you have the answer, align your time, energy, and focus with those priorities. The rest will fall into place. Section 4. The noise versus the signal. Imagine for a moment that you are sitting in a crowded room. There is chatter all around you, people talking over one another, the hum of the air conditioning, the beeping of phones, and the occasional burst of laughter. Amidst all this noise, you are trying to have a meaningful conversation with someone. The problem is, the noise keeps pulling your attention in every direction. You're distracted, overwhelmed, and unable to focus on what truly matters, the conversation at hand. This is what life feels like for most of us. The noise of modern society, endless notifications, social media, demands from work, and the expectations of others constantly bombards us, drowning out what's truly important. We're constantly reacting to the noise, responding to distractions, and trying to keep up with the pace of the world. But here's the question: how often do we stop to truly listen to the signal? The signal is the core of what matters to you. It's your values, your purpose, and your deepest desires. It's the part of you that knows what you truly want and need, and it's what guides you toward a life that feels authentic and fulfilling. But to hear the signal, you have to learn to block out the noise. Every day, we face a constant barrage of distractions. Notifications ping, emails flood our inboxes, and the world pulls us in a million different directions. It's easy to get caught in the whirlwind and feel like we have to react to every distraction. But the truth is, reacting to the noise isn't productive. In fact, it's exhausting and unfulfilling. To truly thrive, you need to take control of your attention. You need to become the curator of your focus, choosing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. Instead of letting external forces dictate where your attention goes, you get to decide. This means turning off the noise, the mindless scrolling through social media, the endless to-do lists, and the pressure to always be doing something. You make a conscious choice to tune into the signal. Think about it. How much time do you spend on things that don't really matter? How many hours do you waste responding to notifications, checking emails, or engaging in activities that don't bring you closer to your goals? When you stop to think about it, you might realize that much of your time is spent chasing distractions that only pull you further from what you truly want. To shift your focus, start by identifying your signal, the things that are deeply meaningful to you. What aligns with your values? What makes you feel alive? Once you know what your signal is, it becomes much easier to filter out the noise. You'll begin to realize that not everything demands your attention, and you'll learn to let go of what no longer serves you. The noise will always be there, but it's up to you to decide whether you want to get lost in it or rise above it. When you start living in alignment with your signal, you begin to reclaim your time, your energy, and your focus. You stop reacting to the chaos of the world and start living intentionally, with purpose and clarity. So, ask yourself, what is your signal? What matters most to you? And how can you clear the noise to make room for that? Conclusion. As we wrap up this journey of reclaiming focus and cutting through the noise, take a moment to reflect. How often have you felt overwhelmed by life's distractions? How many times have you found yourself caught in the trap of doing everything, yet feeling like you're achieving nothing? Today, you have the power to change that narrative. The key takeaway from all of this is simple. Life is about choosing what matters and saying no to the rest. We live in a world full of distractions, but you have the ability to control your attention. When you intentionally focus on what aligns with your true values and desires, you free yourself from the endless chase of empty busyness. By embracing the power of elimination, prioritizing what truly serves you, and tuning out the noise, you can start living a life of purpose, not just productivity. Remember, the world will continue to throw distractions your way, but your ability to filter out the unnecessary will empower you to create the life you've always wanted. So, ask yourself this: what matters most to you? What is your signal, and how can you make more room for it in your life? The moment you choose to focus on what truly matters, you will unlock a life filled with intention, clarity, and fulfillment. Thank you for listening. Stay committed to your purpose, and remember that every small decision to focus on what matters will lead you to greater success and happiness.